good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching this today. I'm here with the amazing Aisha, who again I've met over the internet. Isn't it amazing times we are living? And I would love for you to share with us today, Aisha, what are you noticing that's changing in the current workforce, and what do you hope that means for the future?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for inviting me. And I think this is a topic that is talked about so much right now and for good reasons. I believe that there are two particular things, at least that stand out for me in terms of what is changing in the workforce and what's important for us to kind of keep our eye on in the workforce. And the first one is just our approach in the way we do work remotely. You know, there used to be a time where we wore a badge of honor when we're able to say, oh, I worked 12 to 15 hours today, or I worked overnight, or I worked all through this weekend. And we wore that as a badge of honor. And what COVID-19 did was it caused us to rethink and shift our priorities and understanding that in order for us to achieve and be successful in life doesn't necessarily have to be tied into working long hours or jeopardizing the amount of time that we spend with our family or focusing on our own emotional, physical, and mental health. And so because of that, the change or shift to remote work, which I am a huge advocate for, which I'm a huge fan for, is now becoming more commonplace. And don't get me wrong, many organizations were looking to move to a remote or a hybrid work environment, or they were already doing it pre-COVID-19. But what COVID-19 did was it shifted a lot of organizations' thought process around, hey, I see that my employees absolutely can be productive even while they're at home. And so I'm hoping that working remotely and being able to be flexible in the work environment becomes the status quo for many organizations and the way we do work. The second thing that is really, really dear to my heart as a DE&I consultant to HR executives and HR and risk management executives is the fact that as we are moving into this more globalized work environment and workforce, the demand for a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive work environment is becoming even more increasingly of a priority for not just workers, but also for the marketplace. You know, I wrote a blog earlier this week and I posted it here on LinkedIn that talked about how many in the workforce, particularly our Generation Y and Generation Zers, they're really demanding that an environment that they're bringing their talents to is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. And the marketplace is demanding that more companies and organizations become more diverse, equitable, and inclusive because that's where they want to spend their dollars, right? And so not only is diversity, equity, and inclusion just good for business because research and studies have shown that it creates more of profitability and revenue for organizations. Organizations that are more diverse, equitable, and inclusive see greater creativity and productivity. Not only is diversity, equity, and inclusion a risk mitigator for discrimination and harassment lawsuits and claims, but it's just good for business. It's good because, again, in order for organizations to be able to attract and retain the talent that they're looking for, which is at the top of most organizations' mind, especially during this great resignation period, we have to be thoughtful and mindful around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so it's my hope that the differences in the way that we are approaching work these days, from a flexible and more remote work environment, along with diversity, equity, and inclusion, will also change the way we exist, live, and engage as a global society.